watching America Trends. I'm Mary Burt-Godwin. And the last time we had this next guest on, I totally fangirled over him, kind of geeked out over him, because he is the person that took a brand, the brand method, the cleaning product brand method, to be named one of California's fastest growing privately held company by Inc. magazine. It was named 20 most innovative companies by Fast Company in the world. And 20 most innovative companies in the world by Fast Company. His name is Alastair Dorward. He is currently the Chief Brand Officer at Amyris and President of Olika, which makes these amazing hand sanitizers, the award-winning clean wellness brand dedicated to improving the health of people and communities through desirable hygiene. That's a mouthful, but I'm so excited to welcome you back to the show, Alastair. Thank you for being here.
Mary, it's great to be back, and I got to say, I'm almost blushing with your fangirl comment.
Well, it was so funny because, you know, I use methods so frequently, and now I use Olika, and everyone in the control room said the same thing. They're like, we use that product too, and now my kids are addicted to using these, addicted in a good way, of course, and, you know, our whole family uses this product now, and I just couldn't wait to have you back, so thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. Got lots to talk about.
Excited we do have a lot to talk about. You know, First I wanted to ask you about, so Amyris is the brand company that oversees a bunch of different product lines, right? Olika being one of them. Is that correct?
Yeah, Amyris is a pretty remarkable company. It started as a biotech business, and it launched. It was actually funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation over a decade ago to develop vaccines, malaria vaccines for the sub-Saharan African continent. And that's where they got their breakthrough of using this amazing technology of synthetic biology to make molecules in a more sustainable way. And so from that first start, Amyris has become a platform for making sustainable ingredients that are used in over 20,000 products around the world, touching 300 million consumers. And I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about what makes this so different. We also own now 9 brands covering a range of beauty and hair care and mom baby care hygiene brands that are all sustainable and kind of leading the way for the next generation of consumer products.
Yeah, and I saw there was one called Pure Cane. That's a sweetener, correct? Natural sweetener.
Exactly. That's an amazing product that is probably one of our most beloved. You know, for those people who use sweeteners and don't have a concern about insulin resistance, this really is the no compromise product. You know, 0 calorie, 0 sugar, but you know, not any of that sort of nasty aftertaste.
Yeah, I want to definitely try that one next on my list. And then JVN was a hair product line by Jonathan Van Ness. Well, I don't know if it's by him or just his name is associated with it, but he's known very well around the world from Queer Eye from the Straight Guy and a few other shows he's been a part of. But that is a hair care product. And it's just hair care shampoo and that kind of thing?
And a range of hair treatments, yes. JVN has been very much involved in every aspect of the launch. He's an amazing visionary and character to be working with. So we're privileged to have him in the company. We also have a range of other beautiful skincare brands, such as Biossance, which where Reese Witherspoon is our partner. We've launched a brand called Rose Inc., which is an incredible range of color cosmetics developed in conjunction with Rose Huntington Whiteley, the English model. So we have a whole range of brands and products that really cover every aspect of consumer needs, from more sort of prestigious brands to very accessible everyday brands, such as Pipette, which is our mom and baby line.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about Pipette because I see that behind you, and I think that's one that you are also president of. Is that correct?
I'm running a handful of brands, and Pipette is one I'm privileged to be working with. It's such an important area. When mom is going through, or the household is going through pregnancy, everything is up for redefinition. Every decision that is made is reconsidered. And Pipette just offers just a phenomenal choice for something that is plant-based, based on one of our incredible ingredients, squalane, that is found naturally in baby skin. But as we grow old, the prevalence of squalane declines in our bodies, and it's such a perfect natural moisturizer.
Wow, gosh, where were you 13 years ago, 15 years ago when I was looking for products for my kids? Because it is true. I mean, as a mom, you think, oh my gosh, when it's our own skin, we maybe aren't as careful, but definitely when it's our baby, we want to have have all the perfect products. And especially now, like you were saying, the word sustainable is really on everyone's heart and minds right now. So I actually want to talk about that because you were just at the United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP26, correct?
I had the privilege of being in Glasgow, back in my home country of Scotland, and a lot was accomplished on that agenda. And I had the privilege of representing Amherst with my colleague Beth Bannerman at the Sustainable Innovation Forum, where we're meeting with a number of other global companies, and companies have such an important role in defining sustainability. So we had an extraordinary opportunity to meet and connect and describe our technology of synthetic biology to a number of global leaders.
Well, one of the things I heard, the themes that came out of that was that climate change is now a public health issue. Maybe it has been, but now it's definitely coming to the forefront. And that's all the articles that I read about it. That was the crux of what I read. Yeah. So tell me about what are some of the themes that you took away? And then, how I know that you are doing so much, your brands are doing so much for this. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about, especially that, what you were talking about, the science behind it all.
Yeah, well, firstly, I think that the whole United Nations climate change agenda it's very tough to have every nation gather and for decision making to be based on consensus. I mean, unfortunately, that is how these global United Nations conferences have been set up. And it would be better if it was a majority where, the majority of countries decide this is our target, everyone has to step in line. But, as I think Saudi Arabia insisted that it be consensus. And so inherently, and we saw this with the pledge on coal, that you have last minute people who opt out. So inherently, the COP agenda is tricky to manage. A number of major milestones were met on a global basis, but it's not as much as many of us wanted to see. So I think the message for me is that politicians and nations are intrinsically sort of restricted by the reality of politics and consensus approach at the United Nations, but the hope really comes from consumers. And in partnership consumers, businesses that have a commitment to be an agent of change. And that's really where my greatest hope is, that particularly with the youngest generation of adults that are just coming into their adulthood, they are the most insistent. They have a very clear point of view. They have a no compromise attitude. And we have to listen to that generation. And as business leaders, develop products and services that meet their expectations. And I think that's the path forward. That's what gives me hope.
Well, yeah, I mean, reports are indicating that consumers, like you're saying, they are definitely interested, leaning more towards that. And they want to know how the products are affecting our planet and what the company is doing. I want to go back to what you said for a second about you had to have all consensus from all the countries. That's pretty challenging to get that. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was set up in the 90s, unfortunately, when the whole COP agenda was first put in place. Many other United Nations decision-making is done on a majority basis, but this is why it is so hard politically. I think that's not really clear to everybody. And as a result, you get gamesmanship, you get last-minute holdouts and trading. So I think that's why it's up to consumers to insist, and it's up to businesses to listen.
So we are going to take a break here in a little bit, but I want to talk to you more about the whole concept of, is there a definition of what clean, sustainable, natural, what these terms that are buzzwords right now, I believe, and I think everyone's kind of trying to figure out how they can throw them into their packaging and their branding and everything they're doing. So, how do brands, is there a set definition, and how do brands like live up to those words? Is there somebody policing that? And I want to hear how that goes, and then learn even more about what you're doing. So first, where can everyone find Amyris?
So we have a range of brands that are sold online. So for Pipette, it's pipettebaby.com. But our website, amyris.com, will give a guide.
We can get you to every brand there.
Sites.
Okay, we're going to be right back with more with Alastair Dorward right after this. You're watching America Trends. I'm Burt-Godwin, and we are chatting it up with Alastair Dorward of Amyris, a clean wellness brand. And I have so much to talk to you about, Alastair, because I love what you are doing, you with Amyris and all the product lines are doing to take care of humans with these beauty and product lines, but then also really caring about the environment and climate change and sustainability. So before the break, I kind of asked you this. Is there a definition that everyone uses across the board for what clean, sustainable, and natural mean? And then how do we know that what we're buying really lives up to those standards?
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit, Mary, about the whole world of synthetic biology, because that's how to think about the future of manufacturing of consumer products. And the analogy comes in the food industry, right? You have a lot of progress going around with the plant-based meats. And that is the future trend because of animal welfare, because of a lot of the issues associated with methane, a lot of the issues associated with water use in agriculture. So plant-based is where it's going in food. And similarly, in the world of household products, personal care products, beauty products, fragrance products, synthetic biology that is being pioneered by Amyris is the future. And I'll explain a little bit more that the traditionally ingredients have either been animal-based or petroleum-based or even plant-based, but with some unfortunate sustainable issues. And so you'd have plants that are have energy challenges, have land use challenges, water challenges, or even are harvested in a way that isn't sustainable from a labor safety point of view. So what Amyris does is we've developed an approach to take sustainably grown sugarcane, to take the juice out of that sugarcane, and then we ferment it with specially programmed yeast cells to develop any molecule we like. And that's how we think about synthetic biology. We're taking programming the DNA of yeast cells to make molecules to our specific programming definition. And so we can make pretty much any molecule in the world and scale it in a way that is based on a much lower land use of sugarcane. And we ensure that everything is grown sustainably by Bon Sucro certification. So we develop this in a lab, and then we scale it up on an industrial scale. And we're able to sell these ingredients to large companies around the world and use them in our own specific products. So I'll give you a really good example. Our first brand is called Biossance. It's the fastest growing skincare brand in America today, found at Sephora and at biossance.com. The hero ingredient is an ingredient called squalane, which is one of the very best moisturizers. I mentioned it earlier, and is also a great carrier for other additives that are used for skincare wellness. And it's traditionally used in Korean and Japanese beauty over the last 100 years, but it has been historically harvested from shark liver.
Oh, wow.
So millions of sharks every year are harvested for their squalane extracted from their livers. Wow. So we have replaced this. Biossance and Amyris's first molecule for beauty, squalane, replaces this entire issue. And so we take our sugarcane, we ferment it with the particularly programmed yeast cells, and we develop squalane in a very sustainable manner, and we bring that to market and sell to other companies as well as put it into our own brands. So that is the future of manufacturing of beauty products and personal care products. And if we can do that at scale across multiple industries, then this is our future and our vision for a more sustainable path. Let's just bypass all the animal ingredients, bypass petroleum entirely. And this allows large companies to kind of adopt this approach with no compromise, right? It's lower cost, it's more
lower
efficacious,
cost? I mean,
and it's sustainable.
That's a great, that was one of my questions actually, is the cost factor. You just said it's lower cost. You'd think maybe it was more, but it's lower, huh?
I mean, another great example would be in fragrance, sandalwood is one of the most desirable fragrance ingredients. And unfortunately, it is very, very hard to find these days. You know, India has run out of sandalwood trees. And I think in Western Australia, you can still find some, but it's very much an endangered species. And so we've been able to synthesize sandalwood, the sandalwood molecule, using our synthetic biology platform. And it's now used by fragrance companies around the world, and it's a much lower cost structure than sourcing it from nature.
Wow.
And you have these experts who are kind of the fragrance noses, and you do the blind test with them as to the A versus the B, and they prefer the one that we manufacture from sugarcane.
That's unique.
So time and time again, there are examples of these types of molecules that are rare or come at a huge environmental cost that we can replicate. And because we're manufacturing in increasing volume, our cost structure just declines over time, and we're able to pass that on to the consumer. So the better we get at this, and the more products we make and sell to large companies, the consumer is just going to benefit.
Well, I love everything that you're doing. And, you mentioned, I was looking at your LinkedIn page, actually, and I saw something that you were talking about, mega trends, this concept of mega trends. And you touched on it earlier when you were talking about the plant-based. Is that something you would say would be a mega trend in that industry, would be moving to plant-based? Is that what you would consider a mega trend?
I think plant-based, but I'll even go further, which is synthetic biology is the future.
Okay.
And consumers, because use of plants in agriculture can have all sorts of variation in land use and water use. What we're really looking at is an approach that is very limited in its use of land. It frees up land for agricultural purposes as opposed to industrial purposes, and it also limits water use. So plant-based is good, but then you need to really define the conditions that you're working with, and synthetic biology delivers that. And I think the mega trend we have also is what consumers are demanding. Right. And they're demanding transparency, they're demanding clear labels, they're demanding an understanding of the supply chain, and they don't accept a company's word for it if they're not entirely transparent.
Well, you're providing all of those things. You're also providing Black Friday deals that we can quickly tell everyone at home about. They can go to your website, because it sounds like you can do shopping all for Christmas, right, on all your different products. So thank you so much for being here, Alastair. I hope that you'll come back again, because I need to try all the different products. And everyone at home, thank you so much for tuning into America Trends. You were just watching Amyris Dorward, and I'm Mary Burt-Godwin. We'll be back here tomorrow night, America Trends TV, biztv.com/America Trends, and we'll see you tomorrow night.